queers. What's on the big gay agenda today, Theora?
Today, we are talking about a very long overdue by the powers of lesbian Jesus TV show called Willow. We are so sorry that this took so long for this to come out because we talked about doing this when Willow was airing, and here we are over a year later. So we're sorry. Many things happened. We started filming it. If you watch our reaction videos, you'll notice we look really different in the first video versus the other videos.
The second one, even from the first to the second.
Yeah, exactly. Because we started it and then things happened and we had to put it on pause. So here we are to finally talk about Willow. So before we get into it, what is Willow if you don't know what it is? So just to clarify, because there's multiple projects with this title, we're talking about the TV show. It is a high fantasy adventure sequel to the 1998 film, also called Willow, which isn't confusing at all.
No differentiation.
No, none whatsoever. The TV show takes place 20 years after the film.
17.
20 years.
Okay, I'm just telling you.
Sure. Where we have 6 heroes that take off on a quest beyond the magical wall that guards their kingdom, where they face their inner demons and literal demons, and they come together to save the world. Why are we talking about this?
Because we were asked to.
Huh?
Because we were asked to. Sorry, continue.
Yes, we were asked to, for good reason, because this is the first true Disney franchise to center a sapphic love story. So naturally, we have to talk about that because that's very exciting and wonderful. If you're new here, welcome. Let me explain our format for how we kind of talk about these episodes. If you haven't watched Willow and you don't want to be spoiled about this, but you want to know more about it, just stick around for the beginning section of this episode where we will give our spoiler-free review right up front, and then afterwards we will give a disclaimer and jump into all of the spoilers about every little nitty-gritty thing about this show. But we will warn you before we get there.
If you're watching this podcast on YouTube, be sure to subscribe to our channel. Give this video a like and drop a comment to share your thoughts. We absolutely love hearing from you. For our podcast listeners, please download this episode and leave a review if you can. Your engagement helps us reach a broader audience and spread the joy of queer content. For even more exclusive queer content, early access to videos, and full reaction videos, join us on Patreon. Dive into discussions on our Discord channel where we enjoy connecting with all of you. Explore our merchandise at biggayenergypod.com to show your support. All links will be in the description. Lastly, stay connected with us on all social media platforms by following @BigGayEnergyPod. Your interactions mean the world to us, and these actions contribute to our ongoing celebration of queer media and advocacy for better representation.
Woo! Okay, so let's get into the spoiler-free review of Willow. So basically, I just set the groundwork of what it's about. It's a fantasy show. It's over 8 episodes. The main character is Laura Dannon, I guess, who's the savior of the world. And then her super gay companion is, we'll get into that term later, is Kit Tantalos, who's the princess of one of the kingdoms. And Kit is canonically queer AF, and has a knight in training girlfriend named Jade. And hilarity ensues, and they go on a quest. Honestly, I think it's super fun. I personally like fantasy genres. That's one of my favorite. And when it's queer fantasy, that makes it even better. So for me, I was going to watch this show no matter what, because women with swords, obviously. And I like fantasy stuff. I, like Kaitlynn, did not watch the movie before jumping into the show. And I feel maybe that would have enhanced things a little bit, but the show did a pretty good job of giving us flashbacks from the movie and then kind of explaining things, I think, from the movie, a little bit of the lore. It's very spread out, but it's easy to just jump into the TV show, I feel, versus watching the movie from 30 years ago and then jumping into this. But overall, it's very fun, and I had a fun time watching it and rewatching it, and I wish it kept going. It was originally supposed to be 3 seasons, but we only got the 1, and then it got canceled, and here we are. But I enjoyed it personally. I don't know what you if you have a review or anything, Kaitlynn.
It was great, especially once you get to 107.
Oh yeah, like it just keeps getting gayer and gayer.
Yeah, just wait for the discussion.
Just yes, we'll explain what we mean by that, but all the odd episodes are really gay. Like odd number, like 1, 3, 5. Which is why you will have those specific reaction videos on YouTube. Okay, so the best way to kind of summarize what we think about Willow is we will use the big gay energy scale. So this is a super scientific from the scientists of Sappho about how much big gay energy does something have. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, I think that this is like a 7, honestly. Because to me, it's a big deal to have something on Disney of all platforms where you're centering a queer lead, first of all, and then to have it to be like a sapphic lead, we like rarely get that ever. So to me, that was a big deal, and it was a quality show. Like it was very well done, beautiful to watch. I thought it was pretty well paced and interesting story. The characters are all really great. Like honestly, every single one of them except Willow. And we'll get into that. I thought he was annoying, but all the characters, even the men, like usually the men are annoying. The men were great.
Yeah. I actually like men in this show.
Yeah, I know. So like honestly, it's a really well done show, and I appreciate that. So to me, that makes it higher on the scale because it's a valuable piece of media, and just to have a queer fantasy story. You don't get lots of those on screen. So for me, it's a 7. It has its issues for sure, but I give it a 7. What about you, Kaitlynn?
I base mine truly on solely, not true, whatever. What are words? Solely on like the queerness of it and the representation like that. So I gave it a 6. I'm still developing my scale. That's like actually scientific because I don't want to like put it up to chance each time.
Kaitlyn's in the lab working night and day on this gay scale.
If anyone's interested, maybe it'll be shared one day.
She'll publish a paper on our website. You should, actually. That'd be so funny.
Yeah. Coming soon.
All right. Okay.
To the internet near you.
Okay. All right, she's and theys. We have reached the spoiler section. So normally, when we get to the spoiler section, we would say, turn this off and go watch Willow. But you can't. In an effort to save money, Disney not only canceled Willow after 1 season, they immediately removed it entirely from their streaming platform. So, Willow is available nowhere for you to turn this off and go watch. Or is it?
Is it? I don't think so. Ooh, because
you tell.
We did the lesbian Jesus's work, and
we're trying.
Downloaded it before Disney took it off.
Yep.
So that means you can go to our Patreon right now. You can watch the full season without us reacting to it. We have our reactions in addition to the full episodes because we wanted to be able to share the queerness with all of you.
Yes.
So that means for $5, you can not only watch our content early, full reaction videos, but also watch the Lost series of Willow.
Yes. We are trying to preserve all the queerness because this trend is not going to go away with these streaming platforms. It's just going to get worse. So you're welcome. If you missed the boat on Willow and you didn't get to see it, become a Patreon and we'll go watch it.
And we may have some other things too, depending on what we cover later. So,
oh yes, yeah, we will keep this party going for as long as humanly possible.
We're building our own personal queer database.
We are. We're trying.
Computers too.
It's all very scientific.
So everything is preserved. We're basically historians at this point.
Right. Exactly. You can come study at the Big Gay Energy Podcast to get your degree in queerness. All right. First of all, I'm going to apologize because I'm a little sick at the moment. So if I sound weird and I start sniffling and coughing, I very much apologize. I'm trying to limit that. I'm sorry. Okay, are you ready to talk about Willow, Kaitlynn?
I am so ready because
Ooh.
there is some great things going on.
Oh, yeah. But first, before we jump into the show, I want to give a brief synopsis of, like, the movie that lays the groundwork for the show.
I have been trying to figure out this movie. I know they show
and
clips
neither, I
and
don't
all,
think,
but
is the movie streaming? I think they took that down, too.
I don't know. I didn't get that far.
Yeah, I don't know.
I got as far as being like, I should watch it.
And that was about it. And then I put the show back on. Because the show is queer, so I'm gonna watch that. Alright, so brief synopsis. If you're like us and you never watched the movie, here's what that's about. In the OG movie, Elora Danan was born. She's a baby with red hair and a weird birthmark that was destined to save the world. Because of that, all the evil ever was after her. And so she was low-key adopted by Willow, who kept her safe and alive.
Low-key adopted.
Somehow, Willow goes from Nelwyn farmer to badass sorcerer and eventually teams up with Kit's future parents, Mad Mardigan, who's a disgraced knight / thief / roguish hero, and Sorsha, the princess of Tirazleen, their kingdom. Together, Kit's parents vanquish Kit's grandmother, the wicked Queen Bavmorda, and might I say, this family fucking needs therapy, because what the fuck?
That sounds like a typical family. I don't know about you.
It was just a regular weekend. I had to go destroy my grandmother. I'll be back real quick. Fuck that bitch. Anyway, so after defeating the big bad and lifting the curse from the kingdom, Willow has a vision that one day an ancient evil will rise again and destroy the future empress, Elora, which would herald a new age of darkness. To this, Willow said, "Fuck this shit, she's out," and hid Elora Danan away from everyone in the world, including herself. Roughly 20 years later, the show begins with a new generation and a fellowship. And Willow, of course, because his name is in the fucking title. So he's back, but there's a new fellowship with him. And Willow leads this group of misfits on a dangerous mission to save the world.
This show really needs to be called Elora.
It really needs to be called, Elora, ... and Willow.
Or Willow, the Rise of Elora Danan.
But, like, that spoils it a little bit. But, yeah. Rise of Elora Danan. Sorry, that's such a funny title. But it works. It's more in line with what's actually happening.
Well, it makes no sense to have it.
I think it's just branding, but I agree with you. It's really confusing because he's not actually the focus, but, like, I think that was just trying to link the movie.
Willow, the dawn of a new era.
Willow, and the journey continues.
Willow, and the queers come out.
And some queers. All right, if you have an alternate title for Willow the TV show that would have been less confusing than Willow, please leave it in the comments. I would love to know. There's no wrong answers except Willow.
Except Willow.
Okay, so let's meet the fellowship before we jump into our, discussion of literally everything. So, the fellowship. First up is Kit Tantalos. Kit is the princess of Tirazleen. She's the main character. Gay as fuck. And learns what life outside the castle is like. Next up is her brother, Eric, with a very weird spelling. Eric. That hurts our brains. You want to spell it, Kaitlynn? How do you spell Eric?
A-I-R-K. So basically we're building an ark with an I. The ark spirit with air. Ark. Eric?
That's like a pirate name. Ark.
But they say Eric, but there's no I before the K.
I know, it's wild. Tirazleen is a weird place, is what we're saying. So he is Kit's twin brother and the Prince of Tirazleen. He is kidnapped immediately, and the entire season is centered around a quest to find him. Poor Eric. Then we have, in my humble opinion, the best character, Jade, who is a knight in training, Kit's best friend / love interest, and the long-lost daughter of General Kale. And we'll get into who he is later.
I was about to be like, who's that?
I will educate you, Kaitlynn. Don't worry. Excuse me.
Oh,
Next,
God.
we have arguably our least favorite, not arguably, our least favorite character, Willow Ufgood, who's a Nelwyn, which is a type of humanoid species in this fantasy world. They're all kind of like the hobbits, basically, of this world. This is very Tolkien-y. I'll get into that later, but he's a Nelwyn. He's a sorcerer from the OG movie, we assume, because we never saw it, even though we just recapped it. Then we have the person the show should have been named after, Elora Danan.
A lot of names to pick from.
Oh my god, this woman is the master of names. She's Elora Danan, first and foremost, also dubbed by those who, quote, love her, and Brunhilde, which was the most fucked up alias of all time to name this chosen one. Fuck those people that called her Brunhilde. She is the kitchen maid by day, and by night the future empress of Tyrosleim, and a witch.
So Brunhilde, I believe, is a play on something that happened in the movie.
Oh, is it?
Mad Mardigan was undercover somehow, or or to some mistress said that his name is Hilda, or something like that. I just read this somewhere, so don't come at us if it's wrong, but something like that. It had something to do with what happened in the movie, so they named her Brunhilde.
This poor woman.
Yeah.
But if your name is Brunhilde, good for you, because you could be the future empress of the world one day.
Hold on. Speaking of if your name is, I met an Elora Danan.
Stop it.
And
did you get pulled into a quest immediately, Kaitlynn?
I don't think I'm allowed to say where.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. I don't want to out Elora Danans like Willow does in the show.
Yeah. No.
Okay. Then we have my other favorite character.
I said, no, you don't want to do that, but I forgot I was muted at the time.
Okay, I thought you muted yourself on purpose, and I was like, I'll just keep going. Okay. Then we have my other favorite character, Borman, who is Kit's father's former squire turned treasure hunter / criminal. That is the comic relief, and the show would not be as fun without him, truly. The last member of our fellowship is Graydon, aka Greyonce.
Freaking Theora, that's all I read now. Graydon in my head is just Greyonce.
Greyonce. Blame Borman, because in the reaction videos, I thought we came up with that, but Borman says it.
No, he does, and then you ran with it, and then that's all we were able to say.
His name is Greyonce. Okay, so he is the Prince of Galadorn, which is another kingdom. And in the beginning, he's betrothed to Kit as a way to unite the whole empire or whatever. He's genuinely a good guy, and later becomes a very powerful sorcerer. So we love Greyonce.
Good for him. Greyonce is great.
Oh, he is great. All the guys are great in this show. Not gonna lie. Okay, so let's start off the spoiler section with positivity. So, woo! Because this is a very fun show, and I think we should start by talking about what we did like about the show. And I think for me, the biggest thing, besides gay stuff, is it's funny and fun. And we rarely get those two things together for queer media. And I appreciate when we get it on screen. I don't know about you.
Humor's my favorite thing.
Me too.
I mean, that's also part of the reason why, I like the guys. Because, okay, Greyonce and Borman are the funniest characters. God.
Okay, I love them. I also love Eric. One of my favorite moments is when Elora and him and her having that conversation, and she's like, I burned the muffins. The way he reacts to that, he's like oh, no.
So funny. Not the muffins.
His reaction is so funny. Yeah, I think all the men are absolutely hilarious. And when I say that, I don't mean Willow. I mean everybody else except him.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah, Borman. I have many moments throughout this that I just love about Borman. He's so funny. But yeah, it's funny. And every character has their moments of comedy, their own style, but I like that. And overall, it's a fun show. It's not overly dramatic or heavy, despite they're on a quest and there's high stakes that feel legitimate. I think it's fun. Another aspect that I really love about this show is it's set in a fantasy setting, but the show kind of like puts it on its head a little bit. Particularly when it comes to like things like gender roles, there really don't seem to be any. I mean, gender is a thing. Like we have titles like queen, king, prince, princess kind of stuff, but like strict gender roles doesn't appear to be a thing. There's like a modern twist to it, which I really love. Like in the beginning, I think it's pretty clear that like Kit is going to be the one to take over as like the ruler, because mom's trying to like marry her off to like rule the empire basically, and like the brother's an afterthought. So like Kit seems to be the heir, despite she's the girl and she has an older brother who's a boy. So I think that's really interesting.
Older by 1 minute.
It still counts, Kaitlynn. He's also physically bigger. So it's confusing. The other part that I think if you're listening that you're a fan of is the fact that Jade, her gender did not exclude her from becoming a knight. I mean, they comment that she's the first essentially female to become a knight or get into training to be one, but like it wasn't a hard exclusion. So I love that.
And she's a badass.
She is. She is my favorite character in the show. Love her. Another thing that I love is the costuming and the wardrobing. Because it's a show that centers around basically all these people going on a quest where they're going to be like fighting, riding horses, doing physical things. And the wardrobe people dress them appropriately. Mainly the women. Like, women are dressed in actual functional clothing. It's also commented on in one of the episodes where Kit and Willow get captured by the trolls in Skellen, I think it's called.
Yes.
The troll is like trying to figure out where she's from. And he's like, yeah, I knew you weren't from this other place because of your clothes. Like, they're functional and stylish. And I was like, yes, that is exactly how everybody is dressed. So I personally love that because usually women get dressed in this over-sexualized way that doesn't make any sense for the fact that they're using swords to fight. It's ridiculous. Go see the original Warrior Nun comics if you want an example.
Oh my god. Ugh.
Yeah. And not only that, there's a gender role reversal that kind of happens with the wardrobing where like the women are dressed more modestly and in functional clothing, like pants and like all that kind of stuff. Their hair's back. The men are dressed really slutty, like particularly like Borman and Eric. Eric is always dressed slutty unless he's evil for some reason. And so like he's always showing cleavage and like just looks slutty. And I love it. I'm here for that. I'm here for this.
Borman would have no other way to wear clothes.
No. And like he gets to express himself and be his slutty self. And I am here for that. I am also here for women with swords. And there's plenty of that in this show, and that makes me happy.
I need to make a compilation of you just women with swords.
It's my favorite trope. That's it. Okay, speaking of women and their clothing, the other thing I like, not only is the clothing realistic, but I like the way they let Kit and Jade act out / portray the fact that they are not dress-wearing ladies. Like, they fucking hate it. Like, there's a scene in the first episode where there's the ball or reception for, like, Greyonce and company, and they're both in formal attire, so they're wearing traditional dresses. And both Kit and Jade are on screen, like, fidgeting in the outfits because they hate being in these, like, constraining outfits. And Jade even says, like, for Kit and only Kit, do I enjoy this agony? And like I felt that as my soul as somebody who also hates wearing dresses.
I agree. If you ever saw me, like if I have to wear a dress for a show, I'm always picking and pulling at something.
It's awful.
But it was one of my favorite things in the first episode because they are not dress gays.
No, they're not dress gays, and I like that they let them actually show that because it's realistic. I would say, though, like, if you're in a show wearing a dress, it is fun to twirl and have it spin. But that's about it.
Yeah, that's it. It gets old fast.
The fun ends there.
I have to say, I am sick of hearing, why can't you sit like a lady? I'm like,
Ugh.
I am a lesbian first and foremost.
We'll get to the lesbians that show up in this show. The other lesbians, look at how they sit. That's how we sit. Dresses are not made for us. It's just... Sorry, I'm just going to keep coughing. Okay. Other thing that I like, personally, I like fantasy genre. I've said that. And I think I like the way this show, it's Disney. So if you've heard our other Disney stuff, I have issues with Disney. It just sanitizes things and makes it feel unrealistic to me.
I seem to like Disney.
Kaitlynn likes Disney. But I like the fact that this is basically Lord of the Rings, but it's gay. And I love that. Because it does follow that format where you have, like, the fellowship, the mentor, the quest, like, all that kind of stuff. I like that. But it centers a queer person, which is also fun. And I also like in this show the magic system. Like, they do actually explain it, which is different from certain pieces of media, Harry Potter, that don't really explain how the magic works and what the limits are to it and things like that. So I like in the show that, like, the magic basically follows the first law of physics. What?
I just don't agree with the Willow thing because his magic makes no sense. But
yeah, no, Willow's ability to do magic, that's another story. I'm talking about, like, the magic system, like how magic works in this world.
Okay.
I have problems with Willow, yeah. For sure. Because he's like, I can't do magic, and then he's got to blow, like, a flamethrower the next scene. You're like, I don't understand you. Can you or can you not do magic? But I like the magic itself. Because it basically follows the first law of physics, where it's like, energy cannot be created or destroyed. And it's like, okay, that's pretty grounded. And they explain that, like, basically what sorcery is it's, and magic, it's the art of transforming, essentially, the lifeblood of the universe, aka that energy, into different forms. So that's what a sorcerer is doing. They're just manipulating energy, which I like that as an explanation. So there's, like, limitations to that. And what I found really interesting is when we come into the story, basically, like, there aren't many people left who can actually do magic, which is why they're stuck with Willow. He's the only one that can do it. And so it's interesting that, like, that kind of, like, is, like, the magic is, like, our ability to harness it is, like, kind of, like, phasing out of the world over time because people, like Kit's mom, Sorsha, are basically afraid of it. And they have, like, PTSD from, like, the last time that, like, I guess in the movie when, like, magical beings were trying to, like, take over the world and throw it into darkness. So I like that whole concept and kind of, like, why the explanation of, like, why there aren't many people anymore that can do this. So I thought that was well thought out, and I really like that in this show. Do you have any other likes before we jump into the
the humor is the biggest thing that I will always remember, is because I love laughing because there's so many things that are sad. Yes. I love it if you can, like, have a drama that's still funny.
Yes.
Because that's important.
Yes, levity and a break from the drama is very important, and it helps pace the show. And so, yeah, I agree. I think if this had no drama, or if it had no drama, if it had no drama, if it had no drama and it was just a comedy, I might like it more. If it had no comedy whatsoever, I don't know that I would be super into it.
I think I would have a lot of trouble focusing.
Yeah, I think
because fantasy is hard for my brain.
Yeah, I get it. Okay, so we started with the positivity, now the negativity. So, like, what could have been better?
But I just want to say, not that the rest of our stuff isn't positive.
Yeah, no, not so much. These are just quick overview thoughts.
Yeah.
And then we're going to dive into, like, actual scenes and stuff. This is just the general, what we thought and felt, but expanded and in more detail, because this is the spoiler section. So we're going to spoil stuff. So, spoiler, I think our biggest critique is that it needed to be more queer than it was.
I mean, the more you watch it, the more queer it gets.
Oh, no, yeah. We will get into that. I think that season 2 and 3 would have been way gayer than the first one. This was the setup season, and they wrote this with a 3-season arc in mind. So I take that into consideration. But, like, what I mean when I say more queerness is that the straights spend way more time making out on screen than the gays. And by straights, I mean Eric. Mostly Eric, but also Foreman a little bit. Which, get it, boys. I don't care. But, like, I wanted the gays to have the same type of screen time.
Or, like, not forget that they liked each other.
We'll get into that.
Okay.
But personally, like, with that, I also would have wanted more of an explanation for like why Kit and Jade are into each other up front. Like a prequel would have been nice that explains their relationship, because like in the first episode I'm having a really hard time understanding what their relationship is, because the first episode happens and then they forget the first episode happens for like a few episodes. So I need an explanation for that, because they seemed confused and I was confused, and like I just wanted that fleshed out a lot more.
Yeah. I hope they know what was going on set.
I don't think they do. And then we also so we have Kit and Jade, and then we also have Borman, who's clearly a pansexual human being. Like clearly, because he has a line in the last episode where he's like, Greyonce, Jade, we're about to die, let's all make out. So like clearly gender doesn't matter to him. I'm into that. So like I would personally like to see a scorned ex-boyfriend of Borman's come back, and the drama would be comedy
we need
gold.
A lot of people from Borman's past to come back.
Yeah, I want his mom that he hasn't seen in years to come back and yell at him. That'd be hilarious. Okay. All right. Other thing I don't like is Willow and Alora's relationship. Now, I understand why it exists, because Alora is the proverbial chosen one, and or literally, I guess, in this show. But in the context of like the Tolkien format, how you do kind of like Lord of the Rings stuff, she's the chosen one, and Willow is the mentor. This is very common in fantasy, but he's a really bad mentor. Like he like puts his own shit on her constantly and has no patience for her. Doesn't tell her things. He explicitly tells her not to do stuff. So then she goes and learns how to do the magic on her own. Then he gets mad at her for doing the magic. It's just the weirdest mentor relationship, and it's not productive, is what I'm saying.
And then it like completely switches to like where he finally knows how to teach her in like 107, because like he wasn't allowing her. I mean, I'll get into it, but like he completely switches his philosophy.
Right. It's weird. Like at the end, exactly. So I'm like, we could have made much more progress faster
if he would have figured out how she learns and how her magic actually works.
Yeah, I think part of the reason is like he doesn't actually know what he's doing. So it's not productive to begin with, but I don't know. Was Willow like this in the movie? I don't know, because we didn't see it. But
so something I struggled with was figuring out this world, because a lot of stuff was thrown at us each time, and I did look this up. This stuff was not in the movie. So the Gales were new, and all those people were new except Bavmorda. And today I finally learned that the Gales is just those 4 people. I thought it was like this whole people.
No, it's just that group. Yeah,
I did not know that. I guess because if they only say it like once in a couple words, I'm not gonna pick it up. So I struggled with trying to figure out who everybody is, where they are, how everything made sense. So I wish they could have. I needed a book explaining this world to me.
Yeah, like okay, so I do like that they pace out the lore of the world, and like they do world building very slow, and because like we only get 8 episodes, it's like one and done sentence as explanations, and they kind of just move on because there's not enough time and they kind of have to. So yeah, if you miss it, then you're confused. I agree with that. So like for me, like the first time I watched this show, I was like, I really don't understand the lore either, and like I like fantasy and I'm good with this kind of stuff, but like it was very hard to pick it all up on the first watch. On rewatching and just like rewatching the show in isolation with like nothing else, it was better. But I agree with you. I wish they could have fleshed out the world building a little bit more. I just wonder if it was we only have 8 episodes. We have to do this very quickly. And to be fair, the characters are traveling throughout the world too. So it's like they're on the move. Your understanding of the world is on the move. But yeah, I agree with it. The lore is it's hard to pick it up, especially if you're just watching it for the first time. I thought that was challenging.
Yes.
Yeah, like the Gales, they never explain. They just say the Gales are coming, and then at the last episode, they called those people the Gales again. So it's like, yeah, it is.
I'm pretty sure the first time I thought they were talking about wind.
Me because then a mist comes in. I thought it was the mist. Yeah, it was confusing. It's not very well like explained.
But the wiki is helpful.
The wiki is great.
Great resource. Thank you to everyone who contributes to that.
No, for real. You guys are the real heroes. Lesbian Jesus, thanks you for your service. Okay, speaking of lesbian Jesus. Okay, let's jump into characters, like the characters as a whole. Who do you like, who do you not like? I'm gonna start with Jade, obviously. Jade is the character that all young lesbians want to be and also date. That's Jade. She's
great
kick-ass.
One line about her.
That's Jade. She's kick-ass. We love her. Woman with a sword. The reason I love her too is not just because of all that. She's cool objectively as a character. But I love how she is explained as a character over time. Like, we eventually, like halfway through the season, roughly, we get Jade's backstory about like who she really is, because we don't really know. She's just like in servitude to the crown. She was orphaned, and then we learn how she actually got to Tyrosleen and who she really is. And that was so necessary, not only to flesh out this character, but like to put her and Kit on equal footing as people, because they were not, and that was weird. And then because of Jade, we get insight into a whole different culture of people in this fantasy world. And I really love that particular episode. It's the 5th episode, because it's like a resting episode. We're not traveling, we're just in this place, and we, the viewers, get to like experience this part of this world that's foreign to us in that episode. And that's probably my favorite episode for that reason. It's very fun, and the characters in it get a chance to like grow and like evolve, and it's a big turning point episode. But it's all because of Jade, and I love that aspect of her character. She's lovely.
Jade is also very fleshed out and very complicated. Not as like a person, but just like her life becomes more complicated.
Yes.
As we go on, and this poor girl is going through it. First of all, she has to deal with Kit the whole time.
Oh my god. She does. She
chooses
puts up
to
a lot
with Kit, but she deserves better most of the time.
She does. She is the character that's going through it and is like the silent sufferer for the most part too. Like she
doesn't complain at all. And like,
no.
Meanwhile, you have Kit complaining about literally everything.
She's the stoic. She has a knight's personality. We'll put it that way.
Yeah, but I wish there was more so we could see her open up more.
Yeah.
And find herself, because
yeah, no, for real.
She has no idea who she is halfway through.
Yeah, and I mean, that was left open, like, after we meet her sister and stuff, when they leave Skellen. She's basically like, listen, at some point, you're going to have to choose. Either you're with us, or you're with Kit. Like, you're going to have to make that choice. So I feel like that was going to be her arc later in 2 or 3. But Disney denied us of that explanation.
Oh, Disney. How you never change.
For real. Speaking of people who should never change, there's Borman. I absolutely love Borman, our pansexual king / drunk uncle that every fellowship needs. He's just the comic relief constantly. Like, he's a character who's very like loving and loyal, but he hides behind his humor. And I like that because I think he's funny. And I just want to point out some of my favorite Borman scenes. So I love the scene where he catches Jade and Kit, where they're like asleep, but their like hands are almost touching. And then Jade wakes up. Because lesbians. And then Jade wakes up and sees Borman, and Borman starts giving her this like knowing glance. He's like, yeah. He's like, get it. Then she's asleep. But also he's like, I see you. Mm-hmm. And then, but still, despite seeing that, at the end, at the last episode I mentioned earlier, there's a scene where they're about to enter like the city where Eric is captured and Kit and Allura are now. And it's Borman, Griance, and Jade, and they're just like staring at the city like, fuck, okay, we gotta go in there. And Borman's like, we're probably gonna die, right? He's like, so let's make out real quick. And then
how do you want to go out in the world?
Right. Which is like, this could be our last moment, so let's just make out real quick for fun. And obviously ignore him, and then he gets all offended, which I love. He's like, well, I said we should make out, you guys blew me off, or whatever. I just love him. He's the best.
But he's not just a comic relief. Like, I loved his moments where he actually connected with the characters and was there for them.
Yes, he's
because
sweet.
in the beginning, he's made to seem self-absorbed, only out there for himself. And, like, he don't get me wrong, he is.
For sure.
But he does have a way of connecting with people and seeing who people are and what they need.
Oh, for sure. He reads people really well.
And I love his, I think, oh, well, Willow's not the mentor to Jade, but him and Jade's relationship. And, like, because she's going through so much as basically a new knight that he's already had to do some things, I guess, because he had to kill people before.
Yeah, he was a squire, which is a knight in training, basically.
Okay. I had no idea what that was, because all I heard was Squidward when people would say that name, so I never paid attention. Yeah, so I really liked when he interacted with Jade.
I thought that was cute. I also love, so one of his big plot lines is, like, he basically was Kit's father's squire, and at some point, after, when Kit was a kid, so not a baby, but like a kid, her father, Mad Mardigan, gets sent on this quest by their mother, Sorsha, to go get this ancient mystical armor, and they fail hardcore, basically. But Borman is still obsessed with, like, getting it, because he, like, failed. So he's like, I have to complete the mission, I gotta get this thing. And part of it is, like, he wants to be the hero that wears the armor and fixes everything and saves the day. And there comes this point where he's alone, and he tries on the armor. And, like, basically the armor, you have to put a key in, and, like, if you're worthy, it'll work, and if not, it doesn't work. It's a very heartbreaking scene with Borman where it doesn't work. And he has to come to terms with the fact that, like, he's not the one that's meant to be the big hero to save the day in this way. And when he finally comes to that realization and he gives it to Kit, he gives her this speech, and it's, like, the most beautiful, heartwarming thing ever. He's basically like, it's not my story, but it's yours. Believe in yourself, it's gonna work. And then he tries to sacrifice himself and, like, kill a bunch of baddies that are in the temple or whatever. But, like, that speech from him is very sweet. Like, it's very heartbreaking to watch him, like, realize he's not, his dream are basically shattered. Like, it's very heartwarming and sad.
Yeah. The new generation is here to save the day.
Exactly.
You're here to help them.
Exactly. He's the mentor. Speaking of mentors, somebody I hate in this show is Willow. Because he is grumpy and annoying as fuck 99% of the show.
He is. I mean, there's no better way to put that. I mean, if you like him, he's fine. Like, that's fine.
Yeah.
I just, the way he said things, and, like, by the end, he was getting really whiny. Yeah. Like, I didn't know how far it would be. I want to go home. Okay, go home.
I know, we could leave. That's fine.
But Greyonce was telling everyone that Valentine is possessed, and they were asking questions, and Greyonce is like, he's still in there, but the evil is slowly eating away at him until there's going to be nothing left. And then Willow's like, hold up. Are you the High Aldwin? No, I don't think so. I am. Like, bitch, please. Maybe ask him how he knows all this, because you didn't say he got it wrong.
I don't know. He was right. Greyonce was right. Because Greyonce's like the bookworm, the book nerd. I like, again.
But also, like, he went through it.
Yeah, no. Willow has a tiny ego. I don't like him. And he's insecure about the fact that, like, he's actually a fraud. And he admits it later. He's like, I didn't say
after truth plums.
I think he admits it without the truth plums.
He did after that,
but yeah. He also, they watched it happen. Like, that scene was wild because when they're in the castle, the haunted castle, like, everybody watches the end of Bavmorda, and it's very clear that Willow did not do what he said he was going to do. So, like, they all see it happen also. But yeah, I think he's very insecure about the fact that, like, he actually isn't who he, like, claims he is. And Greyonce was, like, basically showing that he knows more than Willow, and Willow's like, oh, I have to be in control, and it's annoying.
Yes. And he also does not know how to train people.
No.
Because I
No.
don't think yelling at someone and telling them that they have no choice is going to help their confidence and ability. Like,
No.
also, he kept saying Tuatha Orthrak Mora Huatha so fast.
Oh my god,
And,
I
like,
hated that.
how is she supposed to get that? Maybe teach her the basics of the language first.
Correct. She's never spoken this language. Go word by word. Why does she have to say the words in threes? Like, make sure she gets the first word right, then the second word, then the third word. But it's like, no. I'm going to say all of it. You say exactly how I'm saying it. It's like, my question for you is, though, I guess just throwing this out there, because Willow wanted to train Allura when she was younger. How the fuck was that going to work out? Because he can barely teach her as a competent adult. How was that going to work?
The thing is, he had more patience for the child. I think it's because he's more frustrated that he wasn't allowed in her life, basically. He wasn't able to start younger. When you're younger, like, first of all, children pick up things really quickly, especially languages. And I think he definitely would have been more, because you saw how he talked to little Allura, like little toddler Allura, and he was very sweet with her and talking to her. But this is like, he wants. Okay, so the big thing is everyone's talking about baby Allura. She grew up, but everyone still wants baby Allura. So I think that's why he's also frustrated as well. He doesn't like that she's grown up.
Yeah, I think that's valid. The other thing I think too, now that we're talking about, is that allegedly it was easier for her to tap into magic when she was younger. Because he says, like, oh, you have to cultivate it. If you don't, it withers away. So, like, she's starting at a disadvantage because she has no idea how to tap into her magic. And I think he's also like, what if it's too... He says at one point, too, he's like, what if she doesn't have magic anymore? Because I didn't train her and I already failed her. So I think he's also frustrated from that aspect, too, because...
He let them tell him that he couldn't teach her.
Yeah, Sorsha basically was like, no magic, fuck that, I'm too afraid, I don't want that back in my castle, essentially. And so... because he was denied that and didn't try to go back and like negotiate this again, he was just like, fuck you, Sorsha, I'm never helping you ever again. Maybe he shot himself in the foot. So I feel like there's that too. Because at one point he's like, oh, I made so many mistakes, bro. And he's talking about like the dog whittler guy. So I don't know.
I mean, he abandons Allura.
Right.
Like, he thought of her as a daughter, and
yeah,
like, you just leave her in this kingdom.
Right. I think a lot of this is just he's mad at himself and he's putting it on Allura, and he's a bad mentor because of it.
He's not good at taking blame.
No. Not at all. Anyway, that's Willow. I feel like we could yell about him all day. Let's talk about somebody else who's really annoying. I have to preface this by saying this is not a hate podcast for Kit. It's going to sound like it at some points. I don't hate Kit. I just think that there's a pre-Kit. There's two phases of Kit. There's Kit before the truth plums, and then there's Kit after the truth plums. And they're two different Kits. And the Kit before the truth plum is really fucking annoying to me. I think she gets better once the truth comes out. But I understand why she is like this. I understand it's part of her journey, and I think that's great. I just find it annoying. So in the beginning, Kit is the princess. Kit is the definition of white privilege. And she's so privileged. She doesn't even know she's privileged. Until Jade is like, girl, you are the most privileged person on the planet. Like, now we're out in the woods. Like, you are not equipped for this at all. You were just supposed to always live in your little protected bubble where you had all the money. The world revolved around you. Like, what? Like, Kit has no idea. She's just so sheltered and it doesn't understand that at all. So she's annoying because she's overly arrogant, overly confident, and she has done nothing to earn any of this. It's just, it was handed to her by birth because she was born into royalty in a protected castle behind a barrier. Like, she had every advantage possible in the safest place on the planet, and like, doesn't understand anything. So I understand she has to go on a journey when they get out of that, but like, it takes a while, and she's annoying while that's happening. So, but I like her arc as it goes on, and she like comes into being her own person. It's good, but oh my god, is she annoying in the beginning.
I find her annoying 3/4 of the show. But again, that it's not all her fault. Some of it's the writer's fault.
Yeah, agreed. I agreed.
I mean, you know why she's like that. She had no outside forces growing up. She
God,
had
no.
everything she wanted. But I do give props to the writers because Kit comes out very strong and shows us what to expect immediately. She is selfish and cocky very, very early. Like, right away. First thing out of her mouth, really.
Yep. And that's Kit.
Yes, but we'll talk about Kit more because like there's some great things that she does.
There's a lot going on there. Just beginning Kit is difficult. That's all.
But I would like to move on to apparently my favorite characters in the entire show.
Let's do it.
There's a lot of good characters, but these might top them all. The lesbians.
Yes.
That's just what we call them now.
No, they have names. It's Anne and Hubert. They're
Anne and Hubert.
Okay. Woods women, which is code for lesbians.
The wood lesbians.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they might be my favorite characters, and they aren't even in an entire episode.
No, they're not.
They have like 2 scenes.
It's Disney. You can't have too many lesbians on a show. Gotta get rid of some of them, unfortunately.
So Hannah Waddingham plays
Hubert.
Hubert? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Theora learned the names.
I learned the names.
She just truly nails this role.
She does. She does.
I only know her from one other show, but it's a very different character, and she is very, very funny in this. But my favorite part is when I guess Hubert says, "Go on, give her mushroom." No, not that one. That one's mine. And I can't tell if it was scripted or improv, but like it seems like improv because of Hannah's cheeky smile at the end. But either way, the delivery was really great. I love it because the person who plays Anne, like the face, just like, oh, fine, gotta find another mushroom.
Oh my god, I love them. They were great. Hannah literally put her whole soul into like her speech to Elora, where she's like, "We will pledge our allegiance to you." The way she like delivered that line, like, it was just powerful. I'm only sad that they buried these gays because they were wonderful. If you watched our reaction videos, you'll notice we comment, Kaitlynn also, we comment a lot on the fact that despite this being a show where there's fighting, no one bleeds. Like, there's no blood ever. Like, swords are always clean. We never see blood. Except with the lesbians. Apparently only lesbians bleed. Kaitlynn, I found the blood. They come back. A spoiler, I guess. Well, spoilers, it doesn't matter. Hubert gets killed by Valentine, who's possessed. And we cut back. He's chasing Elora and Anne. And then we cut back to Hubert. And Hubert is bleeding from her mouth. So there is blood. It's on the lesbians.
Only in the mouth, though. Not where she got stabbed.
She got stabbed in the abdomen. She is bleeding from her
mouth.
Disney. But that was the only blood I could find.
I just like to say that they didn't have enough in the budget for it. They spent like $120 million on this show. Because I did learn some stuff about this.
Damn.
And then they got like 30 to 40,000 of it back in tax credits. So I don't want to hear it from Disney.
I think that no blood was a Disney choice to make it not. Again, that's how they wash, sanitize stuff to make it like friendlier. It's a show where you're just killing people. There's gonna be blood. Come on. Anyway.
And you brought up how there's a medium shots instead of
oh my god, no. Anytime they fight. I hate this is something I actually do hate about the show. I should have put this in. I do hate it. Because it's annoying. They do medium shots. And so if you don't know what a medium shot is, it's when it's the frame is waist up. Okay, like a close shot is like your face, a full is it full shot or it's like far away? Wide shot, thank you. So wide shot.
I'll give you a graphic to put up on the screen.
Sure. So when they do fight scenes, they do medium shots. So you see waist up. If you're fighting with swords, it's better to do a wide shot where you can actually see the full range of the sword and what it's doing. When they're doing it in medium shots, you can barely see what they're doing. It's so dumb, and they do it for all the fight scenes. And my theory is that they're doing it so that they don't really have to show as much gore, because if it's close up, you can't see all the gore that's happening with the swords. But like for me, I want to see the fight choreography, because people put a lot of time and effort into that, and the actors practice it a lot, and it's fun to watch. It's like watching dancing, right? And so it just takes away when they're so close, you can't see what they're fully doing.
While we're on that topic, the darkness as well.
Oh my god,
which we had
I hate that in general.
Yeah.
This show does it. And basically what we're talking about is when they do night shots, but they want to make it realistic. So there's like barely any lighting happening in the scene so that it looks realistic. But then you, the viewer, can't fucking see what the hell's happening. Everything's just blue. And I'm like, cool. I wish I could see what was happening.
The fight coordinator, stunt coordinator, all their work is not being appreciated.
Yes. I want to see it.
Anyway. But there is a character that we've talked about already, but that we really, really love.
Yes.
I'm gonna be like Dora for a second. Who do you think it is?
I don't know. I haven't watched the show.
No, there's no response, and then we just go into yeah, that's right. It's Greyonce.
Greyonce. I love him.
He's a good dude.
He is.
And yeah, like I was really surprised that I liked a guy. Because like that's not normal.
It's not normal.
For me.
Yes.
But he fully cares about Allura and wants her to see how amazing she is. While like everyone else is doubting her. Like Willow's yelling at her.
Oh
Kid's like, I hate you.
Kid is the worst.
I mean, Jade is like, I will follow you to the death, because that's what she's knight. Like that's her job.
Yep.
So Jade is just like there with her. But he's like, I see you. I know you're amazing. The only one. Well, he's saying that everyone sees how amazing she is because Kid is jealous of her.
He lists out a whole bunch of. So there's a scene where basically Allura's like, feels like she can't do magic. She's struggling with it, and basically she's like, maybe I'm not Allura, Dan, and she's having one of those moments. And he comes up to her and talks to her, and he's like, why do you think everyone's acting like this? Like, why do you think Jade will follow you to the end of the earth? Why do you think Willow is putting so much time into you? Why do you think why do you think Kit is so jealous of you? It's like, he's like, it's because you can do this. That's why everybody's acting like this. So that's what he's telling her.
I'm really glad that he wasn't forced to marry Kit, because I feel like he'd be in for a miserable life.
Listen, when you marry a lesbian and you yourself are not a lesbian, that's already bad.
Well, I know that, but like, oh my gosh.
At what went on in that marriage?
Oh, I feel like those types of marriages, they're always cheating. I mean, like, they have to. Because, like, what else are they going to do?
Listen, when you force people who are not into each other to marry each other for political reasons, obviously, you're just making two people unhappy. Like, it's dumb. Anyway, yeah, that was never going to work out.
And this dude has already been through a lot in his life. I mean, he was possessed as a child and forced to kill his own brother. Like, this guy has an issue with being possessed.
Oh my god, I know. He's the guy, you know that saying, he's like, it's really weird I've been possessed multiple times. I mean, it happened twice, but it's weird that it happened twice. Like, that's him.
If I had a penny for every time this happened, I'd have two nickels. Yeah.
Yeah, he has 2 nickels for being possessed, essentially.
And it's not a lot.
But it's weird that it happens twice. Other thing. So, yeah, okay, so his backstory is, wow, really heavy. And when we meet him in the beginning, so basically in the beginning of the show, he is betrothed to Kit, which that was a terrible idea. But it's because his father, King of Galadorn, and Kit's mom, Queen of Tearslane, are trying to unite the realm. So this is a political marriage to consolidate power, as you do in a monarchy system. So that's the government system they're in. It's not by merit, everything is by birth, and like, if your blood is tied to the other kingdom, your kingdom gets bigger. So that was Greyonce's father's motivation. He's like, you need to marry her, make a baby that has a legitimate like claim on both of these places, because that expands our power. So like, That's his whole job. And the way his dad treated him.
Was that his dad?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah, his dad. Okay, so we get the vibe in the beginning that, like, he is super uncomfortable and he's doing this because he's being forced to. Because Kit throws a temper tantrum at one point, and Griance is not taking her bait to be like, this is fucked up, we're getting married, isn't it? He's like, I'm happy to serve the... Like, he sounds like a robot. And I think it's because his dad, like, got a knife to his back, and he's like, you're gonna fucking do this, because that's the only way you'll earn my love, basically. And, like, so he is a good guy. And we learned that after, like... Oh, no, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, he didn't even want to go on this quest.
No,
but his father, I guess it's his father now that apparently I don't pay attention to
his dad.
Whatever. But he told him to go so he can kill Boorman.
Oh, yeah. Well, also, he had to make sure Kit comes back, because if there's no Kit, there is no consolidating the power. So, like, but yeah, he was going to kill Boorman, which I don't understand, but sure. How was he going to kill Boorman? That was never going to work out. Anyway.
Boorman just distracts and be like, hey, you want to make out?
I was just going to say, you seduce Boorman. Actually, it kind of would have worked. Anyway, never mind. I take that back. Boorman's an easy target. So, okay, but all of this shit started because, like you mentioned, he was possessed and then killed his brother under the possession. And so the dad was like, when he is possessed for the second time, dad comes back and we start seeing his, like, memories. And during this, we get a glimpse of, like, his conversation with his dad, where his dad is, like, basically, like, putting everything on him. And he's like, you're an embarrassment. You're a disappointment. Like, you robbed me of my true son. So, like, basically he's mad at him because his brother was essentially, like, the perfect prince. And then he's like, fuck, I'm stuck with a reject now. So it's so fucked up. Like, that's his family, like, relationship. Like, poor grandma. Like, that's awful, you know? I feel so bad for him. So, like, I feel like the reason he's so smart is because he, like, escaped into books and studying.
It's like Matilda.
Yeah, he was probably, like, the nerdy son and not, like, the macho man. And so dad was pissed about that, is my assumption.
He's really like Matilda, because then he gets powers.
He does. He is Matilda. He's the male Matilda, and I'm here for that. But, okay, so what I love about him in particular is that knowing all of that about him, about his past, the way his dad treats him, all of that stuff, he still chooses to be a really good person. Like, you know, like, he could very easily be this very standoffish, downer, like, closed off person, but he's not. Like, he very much chooses to be, like, the cheerleader in a lot of scenarios. A lot with Alora, and yeah, he's kind of into her, sure, but he kind of is like that around everyone. So it's not, like, a discriminatory thing where he's like, I have feelings for you, so I'm going to treat you special. He's like that with everybody. And so I love that about his character, the way he chooses to behave despite his circumstances. That says a lot about his character, you know?
Yeah, he's a good guy.
He is a good guy.
And I want the best for him.
I do. Things I love about him is I love when they're on the quest and they're, like, resting, doing nothing, sitting by a fire, and he busts out with a flute. He's like, let me just play music for everybody. Kid gives him shit, but he's like, we're just sitting here. Like, I'm helping pass the time. What else are we doing? So I love that he thought to bring something to entertain people. Speaks to his character. And with the whole, like, marriage thing with Kit, I think he had he was going along with it, obviously, because his dad was forcing him to do it. But I think he had other plans about how to handle that, because him and Kit finally gets over herself and has a conversation with him about it. And he basically says to her, the line that I love is, he says, one day you and I are going to be in charge. Because that's how monarchies work. And he's like, we don't need to do things the way our parents did. So I think he was like, yeah, I'll go along with this, but, like, once we're in charge, like, fuck it, we'll just do whatever we want. And he very much admits, he's like, I thought this was weird too. I think you should love the person you're married to, like, not whatever this was. So, again, he already, like, when you get to know him, he very much has his own ideas. And he's a stronger person than people think he is, you know?
Yeah. I just love him.
I love him. All the characters are great.
Yeah.
He's so annoying. Sorry. I have to keep saying that, because it's true.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, I love them. Okay. Well, that concludes our character rant. After this, we're going to dive into all the scenes we love. And, but I think we're going to end our first episode here. Sorry.
We still have so much to talk about.
We have so much to talk about. We're going to talk about it all. So if you like Willow, keep with us. We're going to get into all the good stuff. I mean, it's all good. We're going to get into some more good stuff in our next episode. So until next time, hydrate for lesbian Jesus.
And gay it up all over the place.
Bye.
Bye.
And with that, we've been Big Gay Energy. If you like this episode, check out all our other episodes right here on YouTube.
Please like, leave a comment below, and subscribe for more amazing super gay content.